Welcome everyone to today's episode of Living Real. My name is Clara Capano.
I'm Carissa Atkins.
And we are here to help you boss up and gain clarity in every aspect of your life. So Carissa, we are here and we're going to be talking about showing up today and the idea of personal wellness. So
Yes.
I'm really excited to get some strategies to help us be able to show up more with purpose in everything we do.
And honestly, I think we're also talking in the second half of the show all about personal finance, because as busy boss babe women, our success comes with finance, and we need to have our finances in
really
total order as well. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into that.
I am too. You know, but I definitely have to say, if we're going to be talking numbers and finances, we got to have some liquid courage to go along with that to open us up. So,
Yes.
Dion, welcome. And we have another special guest with us today.
Yes, we do. Good evening, ladies.
Hi.
Dion Bass here, and with me today, my personal guest, best friend, Carrie Corrinchin, whiskey consultant to the gods.
Whiskey consultant in the
And she's going to be making a cocktail for us today. Carrie, why don't you take her away?
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, let's just celebrate the fact that we're drinking whiskey in the morning. It should always be this way. So, you know, we've got good taste already.
Yes.
So I wanted to make something. I am a Scotch girl. I love peated Scotch, like smoky, salty, briny. And then also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it is freezing outside. It's not pleasant. So
I did notice that.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Like even just walking in, I was like, I don't like this. I need alcohol now just to, like, you know, move again. So one of my favorite cocktails is a Manhattan. It's just a classic. And the Scotch version of one is called a Rob Roy, but because it's so cold, I wanted to feel like I'm by a fireplace. So since I don't have one in my apartment, I just have to drink like I do. So I'm calling it Whiskey in Church. It's actually kind of a riff on a cocktail that had been done in San Francisco at a bar there. So it's not 100% my idea, which most cocktails never are. But we're going to start with Ardbeg, which is my favorite Scotch of all time.
Now,
Have you
why is
been
it your favorite?
So I have been there, I think, 4 times at this point. I love the people, the history. They're kind of like rock and roll, like that younger punk sibling that just always rebelled but ended up really successful. That's kind of what Ardbeg reminds me of. And it drinks a little bit like a barbecue, like steak or something like that. I'm a steak girl. And then we're going to move in. So usually a Manhattan has sweet vermouth. I'm eschewing sweet vermouth, and I'm using a Pedro Jimenez sherry, which almost drinks like raisins. Like it's decadent, lush, rich. And then one of my other favorite bourbons is Woodinville. So I actually went to Seattle and visited them a couple weeks ago, and they do an in-house charred maple syrup in their wooden, like in their barrels.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's addictive. I find myself just like sipping it, just like, you know, just throughout the day.
Where's Carrie at? She's sipping on...
I'm sipping on charred maple. It's fine. Don't question it. And that's really going to give it that fireside feel to where like we will not be cold anymore after we drink this. And then we're going to top it off with a little bit of like aromatic sea salt just to play back into that smoky Scotch. So
Love it.
if you guys are ready to
Bring
drink,
it on.
Bring
I'll
it.
stop talking.
I am so ready.
Well, and I love the story of the Scotch and how it's kind of the punk rock
Yes.
rebellious, because you know both of us were that, and I know I was a little punk rock girl back in the day and still at my core. So I'm excited to.
We all have a little rebellion girl inside of us. She just has to come out and play every now
sometimes I know.
and then. Unfortunately for us, she plays all the time.
So, ladies, on the subject of punk rock, what did you guys do in the off season? I mean, did we go rocking out anywhere?
I did. I actually took a wonderful vacation with my sisters, and we went to Mexico. So we were hanging out in Puerto Vallarta for a while and had a really great time there.
Now I'm jealous.
Yes. I know, we all drooled on your photos. Thank you, Claire.
They were pretty fantastic.
I felt like a Instagram stalker for so long.
There was a wonderful little area, purposely named Beachland, and that's where we sort of
Yes.
planted ourselves every evening to watch sunset.
That's where you're meant to be.
Yes. I didn't get to rock out as cool as Clara, but I did live through your post, so thank you. I was like, look, baby, we need to go somewhere.
Well, that trip had been canceled 4 times due to COVID, so
Oh, goodness.
we were ready for it for sure.
Ready.
Okay, she's getting a stir going on there. No
Can you guys
shaking
smell
today.
it?
No
no stirring.
shaking.
Yeah,
Do we
and
not
it's one of those things, like with the different viscosities of all of these liquids, the minute you shake it, like it'll stay colder longer, which we don't want. We established we're already cold. But also just those textures and that oiliness, that velvetiness, that silkiness, you shake it, those bubbles break it up, and then all of a sudden you lose all that mouthfeel. So we still kind of want to feel like, I'm slinking by the fireside,
Love it.
Awesome.
We stir to maintain all of that.
To maintain.
I just think it's always so interesting, the science behind it. And that's why I love how they call it mixology, because there really is a thought.
And we have the best one.
We definitely
we
do.
scored, and Dion then brought Carrie on board.
Flattering will get you everywhere.
Everywhere.
We're smart, we know.
Top this off a little bit.
Yes.
I love those glasses too.
They're absolutely gorgeous. And then,
And what are we topping those with again?
so this is actually, this is a saline, basically. So it's sea salt. And all we do is dilute it a little bit just because you don't want it overpowering, but it has a really nice aromatic. And if you just do a couple drops on top, what'll happen is when you go in for that first sip, you get a little bit of that salt, and then it helps open up your olfactory sense. And then if you breathe back through your nose, it just enlivens and enriches all the flavors. Because salt is kind of a bonding agent
Oh, I love
for
salt.
flavors. Set that right there. And there we have it.
And what
You
did you
should
call
warm
this
this up.
one again?
So I was calling this Whiskey in Church.
Whiskey.
Off a play on a San Francisco cocktail, yeah.
Beautiful. Whiskey in church.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Well, cheers to the rich and famous.
Cheers to the rich and famous. And being that this is whiskey in church, I'm assuming that this will take care of, so I don't have to go to church this weekend.
Check. Oh, I don't know if that's how it works, Clara.
So smooth.
Okay. I don't. Oh, wait, there comes the smokiness. It's
Oh,
like.
wow. It's so many different layers in just one sip.
Gorgeous. Oh my God, this reminds me of the very first cocktail Dion made me, where it came in layers. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm at a steakhouse now. Okay, steaks next. Steak,
And
we're doing
woo,
steak tonight.
the warmth,
I love
yes.
it. You guys, you knocked it out of the park.
This is a
And I
great
don't
one.
even like whiskey, so I was like, unless it's like shut down, it's tough, but this is gorgeous.
This is a perfect, like you said,
Yes.
winter drink. Bring it
Yes.
in your own fireplace. So
Carrie
nicely
nailed it.
done.
Love it. Thank you. Oh my
Ah,
gosh.
Beautiful. Well, this is loosening us up, as you can tell. So we've got to get into our question of the day. So,
We
Carissa,
do.
our question today is, since we are talking about finances and mindfulness and showing up, when you think about the future and retiring, where do you want to retire?
Somewhere warm. Honestly, I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I'm ready to make $1 million this year. And I know you are too. We all are, right? And so then I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with my first $1 million? And me and Will were talking, and he goes, like maybe we should start investing in our retirement home. And I'm like, yes. So it's actually been perfect for me. This is a great time for me to just kind of chit chat, but somewhere on the water, right? Ocean, beach, lake. I'm not too particular. I just love water and I love sunshine. So we've been watching a lot of that show on Hulu where it's like island hunters. And I'm like, babe, we could own an island. And then I watched it and I was like, no, I love people. I need people in my life. But yeah, that's, we just want to retire somewhere warm. Well, I do. He's going to try and take me back to Ohio. But, if I can make $1 million one year, I can make $1 million for the next 10 years. And then we'll have 2 homes. What do you say?
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I'm a few years older than you, and it's going to start. My retirement's going to be kind of in tiers. So my first level is going to be happening in about 494 days when my son Nicholas graduates high school, and I will be relocating more on a primary level down to Southern California, which is my home. So I'll be more in the San Diego area. But my big vision is to have maybe 2 or 3 different homes where I can pop through and, have my beach home. I would love to have a place in Paris, but then I would love to take at least 1 year and spend 1 year in 4 different places for 3 months in each. Maybe do Hawaii, New York City, maybe go down to Mexico. So I'm really looking forward to those. And I don't think retirement needs to look the way that it used to look for so many where you don't work anymore, because for you as well and for so many of you out there, especially if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, I always will be doing something. But I
Right.
think for me, it would look more in the area of doing more writing of books and just one-on-one speaking gigs.
And where, then it's like, then we get to pick and choose where we
Exactly.
want. And then life doesn't feel, people retire to get away from their shitty job.
Right, and we love our jobs.
We love it.
So,
we do.
we're so lucky.
Speaking, helping others, our impact. So yeah, I can't imagine a life without working.
No.
And it's not out of, of anything. In fact, actually, I know most people retire thinking they're going to step back, but most of them step forward and do more. They do more, and I'm like, okay.
I do. My parents
yeah.
are probably the busiest retired people I've ever seen. I'm always like, what are you guys doing? You're never around.
Yes.
So.
But it is hard to show up, and for that end, right? Like I know you said you're a few years older than me, and we've got time, and it's not ideal, but how can we show up for ourselves today so that we can have that future that
Absolutely.
we want? And how can we show up for ourselves, in the moment in our lives now and still be saving for when we do want to retire and to, I guess, lessen the load, hopefully.
Yeah.
I just want to debunk, what's showing up to you? What do you think that means?
And I love that we started with this idea of where do you want to be in the future? What does, retirement or whatever you want to call it look like? Because I think that's exactly what it is you want to get that vision first, and then it's what am I doing today that's going to get me one step closer to that vision.
Right.
So for me, showing up means thinking about who is it that I want to become? What is the life that I want? And then what do I need to do today? And I think showing up is a combination both of physically as well as mentally showing up. So I do my morning routine, which includes, my gratitude practice. I'm doing a couple other foundational items, some personal development, but I also have a time. For me, I really love to be at my desk when I'm at my home office by 7 a.m. Because my first call or class or whatever I might be doing from home usually starts at 7:30.
Okay.
So I know that for me, go time is at 7 a.m. and I am ready to go. And the idea was, when I had my first job at Heidi's Frozen Yogurt, we had an opening checklist and a closing checklist, so that whether I was opening or whether I was closing, I showed up and I had my things to do. And I think bringing that forward in that same concept. So I have my morning checklist, so I know I'm showing up when I do those core items.
Now, I love that you mentioned checklists, because we all know Claire is a checklist check to do.
Love my
and so
checklist.
many women love feeling accomplished. At the end of the day, they're like, oh, I got so much accomplished based on their to-do list, their checklist. But how do you stay in flow? Because it's really hard to go, check, check, check. But how do we come back to feeling balanced? What would you be a strategy for? Because we can hustle all day long. You can check those marks, but if you're not showing up, sometimes that looks like your health is terrible or something else in your life is having to suffer because we're showing up for our careers.
Right.
How do you stay in balance?
I really make sure that I have downtime during the day as well. So I always make sure that when I'm putting my schedule together for the week, I have time already blocked off.
Right.
And I have just learned to understand how I work the best way, and I work in shorter spurts. So I can work for 2 or 3 hours, and then I usually take a longer extended break. And then I can come back and work for 2 or 3 hours and then take another break. Gotcha. I have found that works best for me. And then during those breaks, it could be taking a nap. It could be, eating lunch, going for a walk with my dog, whatever it may be, just to, again, fill me back up again and keep me going.
I love that. You guys, we talk a lot about redefining, breaking out from the norm. And Claire, you just said that, right? Like for you, it's totally different. For you, it's scheduling the downtime. First off, ladies, you got to schedule it if it's important to you.
Right.
But yeah, it's showing up in different ways. Some days you need to go for the walk outside for fresh air and completely get away from the crap.
Yeah. So what does showing up mean for you?
I think showing up for me as a woman, it means walking the talk. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and tell me, I don't know what it is, but it really bugs me when women say they do things and they don't do it, right? So for me, showing up is walking the walk, talking the talk, drinking the whiskey if I say I'm going to drink it, right? I always say Kool-Aid, you guys, but I thought it'd be kind of fun. But
exactly.
Yeah, I think it's important to show up, and if that's my word, that's my integrity, that's my character.
Right.
And so when I find and meet professionals and they say they do all these things and they don't, it bugs me.
Right.
Almost to the point where I'm like, I gotta let this go, Carissa, come on.
And it's so interesting you say that, because I think that was one of the things that bonded you and I together, is because when we would be talking and we would say, oh, and I actually do what I talked about in the summit.
Yes.
And I was like, so do I. And it was so nice to finally find another person that was like, oh, they actually do follow through. And you're right, that's part of the integrity. It's also part of the authenticity. You know, one of the things that makes me successful when I'm speaking or coaching or training is because I work the exact same systems that I teach.
Right.
And my people can see it every day.
Right.
And I think that that really does, it makes me show up knowing that I'm expecting them to show up too.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
works very in conjunction with each other very well.
I'm not going to tell a gal to, get to bed on time and wake up and get to the gym and eat clean food or whatever.
As you're eating your French fries out of the bag. Yeah, you just keep eating over there.
I have zero respect for people. Male, female, I don't care. Leadership right now is really, it's like, show me you're willing to do the work and show me what you're trying to teach me is working. But I find that that's a hard character. Like it's hard to find anymore. I work with a lot of coaches who are like, I feel like an imposter because here I am trying to teach people how to do X and I don't do it myself. Right. And I'm like, well, it's really hard to hold ourselves accountable. It takes a rare breed to be able to be self-accountable, self-motivated. So just like accepting the fact that you may need someone to help you be accountable.
Right.
But yeah,
how many coaches do you have right now helping you show up?
I have 2. Yeah. Right? I kind of look at it as like my career and I have my speaking. And eventually they're going to come together, and they do come together a little bit. They play around in the same pool. But yeah, if I want to be speaking in front of millions, I better be working with the best speaking coach.
Exactly.
Right? Like I can figure it out because I feel like that's just me, right? Like I graduated from a thing called life. I have no major education. I've lost 100 pounds figuring out how to do it for me. I've never worked with someone like that. But I'm like, okay, what I did learn is that I lost 100 pounds and learned how to keep it off and now teaching it. And it's took me roughly 5 to 6 years to do it. Wouldn't you love to get like the secret strategies and lose the 100 within a year instead of 5? Like, come on, like take me to the promised land that much faster because I am meant for more. And I don't want to be wasting 5-10 years anymore trying to get to the next level.
Exactly. One of the things I do want to talk about though is, we can talk about the concept of showing up and how important showing up is. But it's not always as easy as it sounds, and I know for me, I love to be an early riser. I love my morning routine. The last few weeks have been a real challenge for me. I went through an issue where my dog got sick and was at the vet hospital for almost a week. There was a fire that tore through my area and I almost lost my home. And I had, was battling some illnesses. How do you talk with somebody and how do you do it for yourself when you fall off track? How do you get back to showing up?
Well, I think the first thing is recognizing when you fall off. Okay, like when you're like, what happened? You have to take ownership of like, okay, something happened, something's triggered me to fall off my normal routine, and I have to I call it hit the reset. And we're not going to talk about that because I know we have a fun show talking all about hitting the reset, but taking ownership of like, okay, where I'm at is not ideal. What do I need? And then take inventory of like, what am I doing that I'm not, I'm clearly either too busy or too whatever. Like, what do I need to do? And sometimes it's just stepping back and doing less. Like, you know that, right? You work with a lot of professional, very ambitious women who are all over the place because they're taking on too much.
Too much, exactly.
But yeah, it's like becoming aware that you are in this, like you're sliding into this, and then taking ownership, saying, okay, I got to get out.
Exactly.
I got to get out. Because personally, it's a non-negotiable.
Right.
I'm really selfish, and I'm okay to say that I'm selfish. I'm selfish. I take care of myself first. I come first before my kids, my work, my clients, my career, like everything. Because if I ain't me, I can't show for no one.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that's why I encourage so many women to have a routine for what it means to show up. And that's why I love the checklist, because you will fall off. Again, whether it's an illness or a family issue or whatever it may be, and to know that you can then go back to your checklist. We had an amazing discussion all about forgiveness, and that's part of it too, is saying, okay, I fell off, I forgive myself, that was where I was in the moment, and let's go forward.
Right.
And another thing that I love to do too is connect it back with my why, going back to that vision of who is it I want to become, because if I don't show up, I'm not going to do that. And sometimes the motivation of the vision of who I want to become connects with me doing the disciplines that are going to get me there.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes we gotta say, okay, I got to step back, got to reevaluate, remember why I'm doing all of this craziness to begin with, and then just remembering, like, I can't get to that end vision. If I want to impact 1 million, I got to start with me.
Absolutely.
And I got to be okay with saying, sorry, ladies, I need a nap today.
Right.
No coaching, whatever.
And it's so true. And I love what you said about I'm selfish. Being selfish is not a bad thing. It's one of the most selfless things you can do because it's not just about you. It's the ripple effect. It's about what you bring, because when we show up, it's that energy, it's that motivation, that inspiration that we give to others. And if we are not showing up 100% authentic and true, how are we going to impact, and how are we going to help change others and give to them? So I think that's another script that we need to redefine in our brain is being selfish is okay. I think
100%.
Yeah. I think selfish needs to be the new selfless.
Hi, I'm Carissa. I am selfish and I love myself, right? That's the whiskey talking. I think it's good. I'm just kidding. I was going to mention one thing before, we took a quick break, and maybe it'll come back, because it was something about, who knows, it'll come back.
That's the whiskey
If it's meant
too.
to be. Dang it, Dion and Carrie, what are you doing to me? Anyways, you guys, we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we are going to bring on the amazing Shelly Hood, and she's going to be sharing her tips and strategies on how women can boss up their wellness and their finances.
Hi, I'm Clara Capano with Capano Speaking and Training, and I am here to get you clarity. As the strategist for the Smart Woman, I've spent over 20 years working with women in business, helping them to recreate what success looks like for them, to get them off that hamster wheel and to get them into running a purpose-driven business. When you work with me, you're going to find real strategies that are going to help you gain immediate traction in both your personal and professional life. So follow me and find out all you need to get you clarity at claracapano.com.
We are back, and today we're talking about how to show up, why we need to show up, and of course, money. We want to talk about finances. Yes, and we have an amazing guest with us today, Shelly Hood. She is an agent with State Farm, but total local badass boss babe right here in our town. She is amazing. We've kind of handpicked her, so we're really excited to kind of dive in about wellness and finances. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We can't wait to hear all about your story. So let's open it up with that, because I know I'm curious. This is the first time we are getting to meet face to face. So tell us, because you have a very diverse background in fashion and retail and now in insurance.
Yep.
So kind of talk to us a little bit about you and take us through your story.
Yeah, I started retail in college. So I'm the middle child. I'm not the young punk rock rebel. I
like that she threw young in there.
Yeah,
I'm sticking with that one.
That word?
I'm the middle child, which says a lot about me. And my siblings always knew what they wanted to do and stuck with that plan. And I wasn't sure. I was in music, and then I was in education. And while I was trying to figure it out, I started working retail and fell in love with it, and knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I loved the selling aspect, sales piece, but I really, within months, knew that I wanted to work in leadership and coach and create teams. So it was kind of twofold. And I was at Victoria's Secret for 18 years, loved it. I was with that brand during the best years and got to experience incredible mentors, incredible leadership, business strategy, and also had the ability to really develop my own kind of leadership and grow so many women in their career paths. And there's so many different directions you can go in a place like retail. And I will say, retailers are underestimated, and anybody that works in restaurants are underestimated. So I love to hire from those industries. You can do a little bit of everything, and you work hard, agile, fast, nothing throws you off.
Claire, what was your first job?
Well, my first job was at Heidi's Frozen Yogurt, but then after that, it was several years in retail.
Yeah.
Working at Nordstrom, Charlotte Russe, a lot of those, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
Yes.
Those were the good days at the mall.
Yeah. And I served, so same thing, right? Like when you have to sell and retail, like you are people talking, right? Like I had, as a server, we have to say, oh crap, your pancakes aren't up. It's late. How can I quick on my, think quick on my feet? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's just no sitting around thinking about it. You do.
Right.
So I was there 18 years and then was recruited by an executive to go in to a position as a regional executive director with Bare Minerals. And we were trying to create a baseline for all these stores and spent 3.5 years with another peer of mine from Victoria's Secret. We had just an incredible experience of taking that almost like an army mentality of retail and implementing it into smaller stores. Ultimately, though, there was so much going on, and retail was starting even pre-COVID to get really challenging. I had some incredible experiences, not only in the field and developing other district managers, but also on the corporate side. And I actually love both. I see both. I've learned so much from. But ultimately, the first week of 2020, my position was eliminated. I was finishing my master's in organizational performance, and so took a step back, like, okay, now what's next? Was talking to a lot of retailers because I thought, well, I love retail. I don't want to leave retail.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit.
Boom.
Boom, like for so many of us. And the only person that kept messaging me was State Farm. Okay. And my dad was a financial advisor my whole life. And I said the one thing I'd never do is be in insurance or own my own business. And now I have both.
There it is.
So my dad even just talked to him. And so I'm like, why me? And they said, we want people that know how to run a business and grow a team. That's what success is. We can teach you everything else. So I dove in. I thought, why not? Why not? Finished my master's, got licenses, did a big business plan, and I built, and when I presented it, they'd said they'd never seen a business plan built on wellness. So that for me was really important, what I call the energy pyramid and how that translates to financial wellness. I had done some activities with previous peers years prior, different categories of wellness, and where everybody struggled, and really what the meaning was financial wellness. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does because
Let's debunk this real quick.
Because I think, when you think success, it's again, how much money do I have in the bank? How many stocks do I have? 401k.
Equity,
But this
all
idea
of that,
of
securities.
Wellness at the heart of it.
Yep.
Yes,
Totally
tell us
different.
more.
It means something different for every person, and it changes like everything else as you age, as you grow, as your life experience. What it meant to me prior to that is very different. It meant how much money is on my W-2.
Right.
Am I investing? Am I maxing out my 401k maybe? But most importantly, what is on my paycheck? And then when that's taken away and you have to sit back and reflect, I never thought I'd have the courage. I would not have chosen to leave a corporate, well-paid, I was in the top 2% earning females in the United States, to choose to leave that. I had to have that push.
Yeah.
I'm not brave like many of you.
Oh, yes, you are.
Well, I needed a push, though.
Yeah.
I needed that push.
We all do.
And so for me, it was redefining, what does that mean? It means being my own boss. If I can own my own business, I look at profit and loss differently. I've been managing P&Ls, but not my own money. It's very different when it's your own money.
Personal.
Right, and what's my relationship and why? So I did a lot of self-exploration, a lot of reading on relationship with money. So it's less about the amount in my bank account and why is that important. What makes me feel safe and well is very different than what makes you feel well. Yeah. It comes with a lot of things that you're raised with. It comes a lot of things culturally, and there is a really, really deep-seated in all of us reason of why money makes us feel well or why it doesn't make us feel well.
Sure. Claire, what does financial wellness mean to you?
I would say freedom and security. That's, what it means for, me is being able to know that, I can go and do whatever I need to do. I remember being a single mom and starting my career and stressing out going to the grocery store, wondering, do I have enough money to buy things? And I remember the first few months of being able to say, I can buy whatever I want at the grocery store today. And so having that, but that was definitely a drive.
And that never leaves you. No matter what, that never leaves you. I think one thing we all have in common is we were at one point single moms. And I think that was also my business plan, to support single moms, because it's actually 12% of the population in West Omaha
Cheers
are
to you
single
moms
parents.
out there.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes, do it. Hey, single moms, we see you. We support you. We love you.
Well, and I think all single parents, but what's different for women is the expectation.
Yeah.
And so being that single mom, having that financial responsibility definitely changes you. And then having a job that I was very grateful to support my children, then not having it. And that completely changes all the relationships. It changed my relationship with my husband, my kids, how they viewed me. So much of it was about that. And so having to take a step back and say, what is financial wellness? Because I'm the same way. Knowing that I can go to the grocery store, ultimately being able to buy everything I need and almost everything I want, because I always want to be pushed. I always want to be reaching. And really, ultimately, to be able to support my kids, my daughters. I have two beautiful daughters, 16 and 19, who you talk about little hustlers.
Yeah.
They're little hustlers.
Yeah.
So that's important to me. But then I started to think a lot more about versus what I'm earning today, is it really about future possibility? So now I have uncapped earning potential. All of that is in my court.
Right.
That is all up to me. And in how I work with my team, I have 4 amazing women, all female team, and growing their careers. My success will be a side effect of that. So that's a big reason I also went with State Farm as the team model. That's something I'm passionate about, that I have a lot of freedom with how I run my business, within security regulation, of course.
Of course.
But that I can hire all these different women, work different schedules that accommodate their lives, and at the same time, give them not only now some financial freedom, but really that future growth potential for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you work, prior to my life, right, I was in marketing collision, so we met with a lot of agents, and I will say it's hard to find a female insurance agent, right? Like, so you're in a man's world.
Which wasn't the case before.
Yeah, yes.
That's different.
Yes, so everything is changing, but the world is set up, a lot of companies are set up to work the man, let's face it, we're different, right? It's not good, it's not bad. Women, we show up with different ways, we show up with different energies, we have totally different skill sets. But the corporate lifestyle was not set up for women to succeed in, right? And that's just what it is. Women at first, that's the evolution, right, of corporate women. So I love what you're doing. You're taking and you're empowering your own team, and you're saying it's okay to show up for you, and it's okay to show up for this business, and you're leading them. That's brave.
Well, and I learned so much from them and their life experiences, and that's really how I train them. Like, I'll give you that framework, but it has to be authentic. You have to, I don't want you to lose your authenticity and what makes you you. That's what people are drawn to, and that's what they connect to.
Right.
So I think when I thought about financial services, because again, my dad was a financial advisor, and I was like, this is scary, FINRA, oh my gosh. So initially, really my thought was, I'm gonna help you protect it so you can invest it. So I wanna, a lot of people are out there, and I talk to them almost daily, that are all about investing, or that's their goal, or even if it's into their home or improvements or anything, but they don't have the right protection. So in a blink of an eye, life can change. We all know that. And if you aren't properly protected, you could lose everything, including future earning potential, if you don't have the right kind of liability, life insurance, things like that. So very, very passionate about that.
So if I'm understanding, so when you sit down with a new client, do you almost find out their story first and start thinking and asking and probing about where do you want to be, and then creating a plan of that future vision?
Yeah, so it kind of depends. I let them lead a little bit, and especially because it's a lot of auto and fire. They're like, I just want to check my coverages, or is my deductible, or why did my rates go up? And I always start with, tell me about you. And it always trips people up. They're like, well, I'm boring. And I'm like, I have yet to discover that to be true. Everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And within that, I can pull different things and just how involved they've been in their coverage, what they understand, their relationship in the past with insurance or agents, because that's huge. And that's how, like, really, I can't just grow the business. I have to retain the business and build that trust and let them know what my role is as their advocate and as a connector. So there's many things I can't help with. My job is to have trusted partners to help find those. And that's something really important too. And a lot of people are so focused on their day-to-day and paying their bills and maybe investing for the future retirement, they just don't want to talk about
They're on
the
autopilot,
what-ifs.
yeah.
The what-ifs. Who wants to talk about those things? But that's my job. I have to, and I tell them that. And even if they're like, I don't want to talk about this now or not now, I'm like, that's fine, but my job is to keep asking the questions because life changes, those things happen, and I don't want you to lose everything that you've worked so hard for. And sometimes there's a gap there.
Yeah.
And also, sorry to interrupt, but I mean, also I think you need to plan for the what-ifs because when you're in that moment, you're not thinking clearly. So you want to be able to have your contingency plan put together for you.
No, no one ever thinks it's going to happen to them.
Yep.
Ever.
No, of course not. No. But what we've learned in the last 2 years is that it's going to happen to all of us. It's just a matter of when, right?
My grandpa used to say there's only 2 things you have to do in life, pay taxes and die. Those are inevitable.
Guaranteed.
Those are the guarantees.
So leadership, talking to clients, building a business, I know you're very well connected into your community. How are you showing up for you? Because in the first half, we talked about we can't show up for everyone until we're showing up for ourselves. So how do you show up for you?
Personal wellness is huge. And so when all these changes happened just over 2 years ago, I made the priority, and if it's the only thing I did, was to get up, do my workout, my meditation, drink a lot of water, and do my hair. And makeup. Seriously, get ready to show up for the day. And if that's what I did, then at least I knew, okay, I'm ready for whatever comes. And I would schedule, if I needed to make so many connections on LinkedIn, whatever it was. I was very structured with that. Growing up, and I think, and it's not just women that are above 60 maybe. I see it in women that are much younger than me. It was selfish was a bad thing.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
we all grew up
you
with,
take care of your kids. You come last.
Yeah, because if you put yourself first, again, you're selfish and you're not, being a good mom or
we are too.
whatever.
And we're told by so many different outlets, right, between media, but our friends, our family, how dare you do that and follow your dreams? That's not the safe path. You're never going to be able to provide for your kids over here.
I could never do that. I traveled for 3.5 years. I traveled almost every week, and there was a lot of people. Were very supportive. I had, a community around me, family and friends that I could not have done it without. But a lot of people, how can you do that? How can you leave your kids every week?
Oh, yes.
And how can I not? I need to do this. I need to provide for them. I'm showing them. I mean, they are very high-functioning, independent teenage girls, young adult women.
You've taught them in leadership and strength by showing, right? Like you saying, I'm a mama and I'm this and I can be it all and have it all. But your actions are showing them how to be so independent.
I was raised with a stay-at-home mom who also helped my dad with his financials. She was licensed and helped, so she did a little bit of everything. But I think she always wanted a little more for herself, and she instilled that in us. Never rely on a man, never need a man. And her and my dad are still great partners. Many, almost been married. It'll be 50 years this summer, which is incredible. And set so many good examples. But one of those examples came through is how not to be. She wanted us to do more, have more. And I think things have progressed. I know women that are much younger than me though that they feel guilty. They say no. And they think doing the right thing for them and their family is not having choices. To not have the option to put their husbands first. And that ebbs and flows, don't get me wrong. But it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. Why does it have to be all or nothing?
It's not black or white.
It's all about trade-offs, and looking at that and where are we again, what season are we in, what needs to be done, what's the biggest, and
So I'm gonna
sometimes
get-
we each have to shine.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into strategies though, right? Because I want women who are watching today's episode, like, great, you show up for yourself, that's awesome, I should have money or whatever. Like, I love strategy. We love strategies. That's why we put this show together, is we wanted to give busy boss babe mamas, women, career-focused women, a chance to shine in all areas. So I caught them. Your 5 strategies for showing up for you was like, I drink my water, I get up, I make my, I do my hair, I get my workout in, probably all before you go to work, right? So that's kind of another secret there. But what would be some good financial wellness tips? So,
Well, I think, first of all, just overall physical wellness, part of that is money. Where is your money? Where is it going? And it doesn't have to be down to, I spent $2.79 at Starbucks. I mean, that's exhausting and it's not sustainable,
Right.
in my opinion. And there's
like
great
count
apps
calories.
out there.
Yeah.
I know. But
Boring.
really understanding how much of my money is going to everyday living, how much is going to save, like kind of just doing almost a pie chart and say, I want about this much to go into savings, to go, maximizing anything that you have at work. Seeking out financial advice. I'm almost done with all my securities, so I'm really excited to be able to delve more into that side of it as well, just to make it more comprehensive, that we can literally talk to you about everything from car insurance to what you're doing with your retirement. But at the end of the day, it's really about understanding first, where's your money going and why? Why? I mean, why do you like spending money? Do you prefer to go out to eat? Do you like to shop? It's not a judgment. We judge.
Right.
We
We
do.
feel judged. And that comes from my yoga background. It's being aware and letting go of the
Right.
judgment. You
Right.
can't change the past. What do you want? What are those retirement goals? Yeah. What
And,
is your goal this year?
Is
10
it
years,
serving
20
you?
years?
Is it bringing you joy? Maybe you're
Yeah.
spending money on, again, shoes or whatever. But if those are something that are really important, where can you maybe let go of some other things or be more responsibly fiscal in other areas if you want to do that? So again, it's not having judgment of you can't do these things. It's just understanding why.
Yeah. When I first became a single mom, I remember talking to my dad, like, okay, I had to really tighten my budget. And he said, well, how much do you spend on your hair? And I said, this conversation is over.
we're done.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
I will give up food before it, not really.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
that to me was super important. My hair is like really important. I'll give up many other things before that.
Sure.
It's so, in the Marie Kondo, What Brings You Joy, my daughters got really into that and got rid of all this stuff, all their clothes. And I was like, no, this brings me joy.
Yes.
Now I
And
need to
it's
reorganize and
awesome
purge,
that
but
you know that.
I was in retail for 21
Yeah.
years. I love clothes, and my friends come to borrow clothes from me. I mean, I love that. So I know that I obviously within my means have to manage that.
Sure.
But there are certain things that I'm like, no, that is my thing.
exactly.
I love that. I don't have to go out to eat that much. I actually prefer making my own meals. I prefer staying at home with my friends versus going out. So for me, and that may change in 5 years.
Right,
I
but
mean,
again,
it's
that's
always
the
changing.
trade-offs.
So I think as far as like financial wellness, I think physically, where's your money going? I think mentally, it's the why. I think emotionally, understanding how we were raised, what are those feelings we get? Do we beat ourselves up? Just like with food or exercise, like what's the point? Are we beating ourselves up? And then I think it's just getting really strategic with what are those future goals. It doesn't matter how old you are.
Right.
My dad would talk about that a lot. Like I can help anybody at any age try to figure out retirement.
Right.
It's going to look really different when it comes to the amount of money, but anybody can have a conversation and improve where they're at. So I think also it's very different 20 years ago to now.
It is.
I think financial thing, it's just really different and it's going to keep changing.
Yeah. And I think it also changes for us as we enter into different stages. I know, a lot of it early on was the why of putting food on the table, but also stuff. When I was younger, I wanted more stuff. I liked stuff. Stuff was great. Now, I want more experiences. So for me, a big part of my financial wellness is travel.
I love that.
I want to be able to do that. So I want to earmark a certain amount of money every year to take trips with my sisters and to go on other retreats because that's part of enhancing it.
that.
So I'm willing to let go of having other, say, material items.
Yep.
And I became very clear. I mentioned earlier, there was a big fire that went through my neighborhood. And when one of my friends called me and I was on a plane getting ready to take off, and she said, do you want me to go evacuate your house? I became very clear that I'm not attached to stuff the way that I was before. And it was very free. I mean, not that I wanted to lose anything, but it was very freeing to know that you're doing these. So I think, again, really getting clear, and I think that's a big part of strength in wellness is knowing, your why.
And being okay, like I said, I do like my huge closet with all my clothes. I mean, I love that. I, though, am definitely, as my kids get older, and they're not like that, like I am, going into the experiences. I too want to travel. And my husband and I have talked about, do we want to maybe get a bigger house in 3 or 4 years? Or do we want to downsize and get a second home in Arizona? He wants to end up in Arizona. You were talking about retirement. Those are just having those conversations with anybody around you that's involved. I think just having the conversation. People don't want to talk about money. Why?
Like women, we're told it's not. We grow up with the women don't make the money, men make the money. It's all the mindset. I'm telling you, it's all going back to like rewiring your mindset. Yeah. And I'm doing a lot of that because, season 1, we talked about finances. I was like, I told my financial advisor from the get-go, I said, I want money to retire, but I want to have fun. Like my mom taught me with death that life's way too short. So I'm going to live it up. Better believe it.
Also, this idea of materialism. And we're taught that materialism is bad. But if it brings you joy, you've got to look at the big spectrum of your life and what areas do you really want, and I think I do that a lot. One of my sisters also has been in retail. She owned her own retail store for a long time, and she does. She loves clothes. She loves things. That's her area.
And that's the way to express yourself. For me, that's a huge part of expression, and makeup kind of the same thing. So I just think, and like I said, that may change. I had to let go of that judgment and almost be shamed that I loved clothes. And that I loved dressing up every day. And I'm like, why? Why should I feel bad about that?
I could care less. I'm the same with food. I will not spend money on junk because I know how the second and third order effect of after I eat a Big Mac, right? Like, of course. We want junkier food, but how's it gonna make me feel? But for a long time, it was, I can't afford to eat healthy. We get that a lot in the health and wellness. It's so expensive to eat out. I'm like, really, but what's the cost? Like, you're not gonna be around because you're gonna have a heart attack.
Right.
What's the gallbladder surgery costing you? I mean, come on.
There's no price.
No, you can't. So invest in your health by, and then I feel that when you are healthy and confident, it opens up the door, right? If you weren't as confident and as healthy as you are mentally and physically and emotionally, you probably wouldn't be where you are either. Yeah. So it's really important to invest in your health, even if it's healthy supplements, right? Like invest in a coach, invest in books, invest in making yourself better.
And same thing with finances. Yeah. We're willing to put insurance on our phones, but not on our lives.
It's so crazy. And I love that idea. And that's the whole thing is, again, invest in the bigger vision. Everything is an investment in where you want to go. And again, looking at the big components. Looking at, am I investing in my long-term health? Am I investing in the things that bring me joy? Am I investing in creating experiences, building the relationships that I want? And so I love how you are taking this idea of not just investing from a dollar perspective, but from a wholeness.
Internal.
It's a value. So, I mean, I know people want like answers and a checklist, and those are out there, don't get me wrong. There are many great checklists, I've seen them. I think the first thing is get very clear for you and your partner, your family, what is your vision?
What do you want?
What do you want? Because a financial advisor can't help you
until
they know what you want. And from there, you need to have that protection set up, and then really start thinking, do I want short term? Do I have college? Do I want long term? So it's not just I want to retire when I'm 67. It's you got to dig a little bit more deep and get really, really clear on what's important. Then you can get into the tactics, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Shelly, it's been amazing that we can continue this conversation. We obviously want to give you a gift, right, for being a guest on our show. Clara, please sign it.
Whiskey?
Yes, the whiskey. Please sign.
My name might be Ciara by the end of the day. So, yes. And I mean, this has been so amazing. Just ideas of showing up, getting clear on your vision, understanding that it's about wholeness wellness, not just money wellness, and looking at all those different angles. So just so much appreciation for you and everything you're doing to strengthen women, young girls, families, men, everybody out there. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all of you at home, thank you for joining us today. We want to just wish you so much abundance, love, and happiness in all aspects of your life. Remember, you can catch all of our episodes on motivationandsuccess.com and livingrealtv.com. Thanks for joining us.